Hi, this is another member mission present. It comes from Meaghan McKenna, who has been a student in Cairo at the American University in Cairo and working on a master's in international human rights law, and you're doing a diploma. What kind of a diploma? Graduate diploma in what?
Forced migration and refugee studies.
Uh-huh.
So.
Very germane to today's world.
It is.
We're going to hear from Meaghan twice, but I want to hear now. She got back to Cairo shortly after the revolution was over.
I did.
And had some observations to share that I think will be most interesting and useful. So, how did you see what the people did, Meaghan? You had some comments along that line.
First of all, I wanted just to say that I was really proud of the Egyptian people for the struggles that they had to go through in all the protesting. And it wasn't easy. You know, they had a really difficult time, and it was just very honorable to be able to see how they were able to do it in a peaceful manner, and for the most part that there wasn't very much violence. So it was really great to see that.
Well, that's a good affirmation to hear. And next one is, what is the likelihood, as you see it, of being able to follow through on some of the goals that they had and have?
It's definitely a very long road ahead, because although Mubarak has been ousted, there's still remnants of his old regime that are still in place, such as the emergency law, which has been in place for 30 years.
What kind of law?
Emergency law.
Uh-huh.
And there are other remnants of his regime. I mean, there are still parts of, the army that are still very faithful to the old regime, and it's going to take a long time for that regime to be able to be dissolved. And it's definitely going to be a difficult road, but I still have the hope and the faith that they will be able to do that.
Yeah,
So.
and we'll sure join you in that.
Yeah.
Another one, then, you kind of imply that things are slow changing. You talked of some women arrested during the protests, and even now, this is the new police, under the new regime,
Right.
some bad things happening. Without being too graphic about that, but tell us candidly
Right.
what happened to them.
It was actually on International Women's Day. There was a special protest for the women in Tahrir Square, and I actually attended the protest myself, and I was surprised because there weren't very many Egyptian women there. It was mostly foreign women, a substantial amount of men actually as well. And we found out actually a couple days later that the few women that did attend the protest, the Egyptian women that is, that 18 of them were taken into the Egyptian Museum, and if they were not married, then they were forced to undergo virginity testing, which was very embarrassing for them, and it was basically just to prove to them that, these are the consequences of stepping outside of the traditional lines, of entering into the public sphere where women are traditionally in the private sphere. And it was just a horrible portray of, the power that the army has, and that they can just take these random women for no reason at all and just undergo such testing. And the women who were found to not be virgins were then taken and tried in military tribunals as prostitutes.
Oh
So,
my. And what would happen
pretty
to them
horrible.
if they were convicted?
They'd face jail time.
Jail
so,
time.
And these are just regular women. So.
Painful to hear. There's a good story, too, of a personal contact with a taxi driver, was it?
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, I actually this semester have gotten to know 2 different taxi drivers, and through other friends, and they are really wonderful people. Every time that I've needed a ride, it's not just a ride to me, at least. They would come to my apartment and pick me up, and if there was any rioting going on at school where they would be taking me to, often one of the taxi drivers would bring along another friend of his so that if anything happened, he could get out of the taxi and protect me. and they would even park the taxi across the street from my school and walk me across the street right into the gates of my school, just to assure that there was nothing was going to happen to me. So I feel very blessed that I have those people in my lives, because I feel like they definitely care about my individual well-being, not just, I'm not just another taxi fare for them. So it's really special that I've made that connection with them. So.
And I'm hearing underlying, I know a bit about you from having been members of the same church with you, that the love and the justice you're talking about in various levels are dear to your heart and dear to your understanding of how God works.
They are, very much so.
And we're going to hear more from you because you're off to a conference in Jerusalem.
I am.
What's the name of that conference?
It's the 6th International Young Adult Conference, and it's held by the Sabeel Center, and it's in Jerusalem. So.
And is this the right, did I write this down correctly? Christianity in the East, Islam in the West, prophetic voices from Palestine and Israel.
That's correct.
Wonderful title. And you tell us that you're to come out of that with some kind of skills in peacemaking, peace building?
Yeah, it's a peace building and conflict resolution conference, and we will be visiting local churches as well as refugee camps on both the West Bank and in Jerusalem, and various holy sites, things like that. So we'll be doing a little bit of tourism, but we'll also be seeing how these people live their daily lives and how they're affected by this conflict. So I'm really looking forward to it.
It sounds exciting, and we'll look forward to hearing from you about it, Meaghan.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.